Charlie's lips. If killing people was the answer to everything, the Wells family would have been wiped out a long time ago. Some people deserve to die and need to be taken out, fast, like the underground network. But others? That would just be boring. He smiled again. Look at Jude Kennedy, the guy you're holding. I could have killed him ages ago, but fast. The Wells family's Elite Eight could already be on their way. Roman was still a few hundred miles south of Oris Hill, which gave Charlie a window. But if he didn't hurry, they'd beat him there. He immediately called Isaac. I need a plane, he said, the urgency clear in his voice. I have to get to the Whitemont Mountains. Now. Isaac's reply was instant. Of course, Master. There's a business jet waiting at Oris Hill International. It's the fastest civilian jet on the market, custom built for the family, he added. The Wades have always believed time is money, and our jets are faster than anyone else's. Period. Perfect, Charlie said, satisfied. Get it on the tarmac, ready for immediate takeoff. And I need a chopper from the Oris Grand to pick me up at Thompson. I'm leaving now. Consider it done, Isaac replied. Then he asked, Master Wade, do you need backup at the mountains? I can have a team scrambled. No backup needed, Charlie said. But I will need one more thing. Have a helicopter waiting for me when I land at Whitemont Airport. I need to get to a village at the base of the mountain, fast. I'm on it, Isaac confirmed. If there isn't a chopper available locally, I'll pull one from the next region over. It will be there before you land. Guaranteed. Good. Charlie hung up, a satisfied look on his face. Orville immediately stepped forward. Mr. Wade, let me come with you. Lance, standing beside him, echoed the sentiment. Me too, Mr. Wade. I want to go. Charlie considered them for a moment. All right, he said. You can come. He knew both men were fiercely loyal and stubborn. There was no way they'd let him go to the Whitemont Mountains alone. And maybe that wasn't a bad thing. Charlie knew that to command their absolute loyalty, they needed to witness his true power. This was especially true for Lance. Before he could entrust the man with the priceless remedies from the mystic scriptures, he had to be certain, beyond any doubt, of his devotion. This trip to the Whitemont Mountains, then, was the perfect opportunity to show him exactly what his new master was capable of. Minutes later, the chop of rotor blades filled the air as Isaac's helicopter descended on Thompson. The three of them boarded, and the aircraft lifted off immediately, banking hard toward Eris Hill International Airport. Meanwhile, at Eris Hill International Airport, the Wade family's private jet was prepped and ready for takeoff at the end of the runway. All it needed was for Charlie to get on board. This jet could get him to the Whitemont Mountains in just 2 hours. The Wells family's jet, by comparison, would take at least 3. On top of that, the Wells family didn't have the kind of pull the Wade family had to coordinate resources across the country, let alone the entire world. When the Elite Eight landed in the Whitemont Mountains, there wouldn't be a helicopter waiting. At best, the Wells family would have arranged for a few off-road vehicles to drive them to the base of the mountain. Orville had told him the drive from Whitemont Airport to the small village where the Webb family lived took at least 2 hours by car, and that was on a good day. If it snowed and the road conditions got ugly, it could easily stretch to over 3 hours. But a helicopter was way faster. A straight shot, only 40 minutes. So Charlie still had time to spare. He would definitely get there before the Elite Eight. The chopper touched down right at the end of the runway, pulling up next to the Wade family's jet. The second Charlie stepped off the helicopter, the jet's cabin door swung open. To his surprise, Isaac was standing in the doorway holding it for him. Charlie gave him a surprised look. What are you doing here? Isaac quickly explained. Young master, I was worried about you going alone. I was afraid you'd tell me not to follow, so this seemed like the only way. Please, don't be angry. Charlie nodded slightly. Well, you're here now. I can't exactly kick you off. Let's go. Tell them to get us in the air, ASAP. Orville had known for a while that Charlie was Isaac's young master, so this didn't faze him. But since he knew very little about the specifics of the Wade family, he always respectfully called him Mr. Wade. It was a show of deference without drawing too much attention. Besides, Charlie preferred to keep his identity under wraps, and the simple title helped with that. Lance, on the other hand, was floored by the term young master. Isaac was a sharp guy. He saw that his young master had brought Lance along, which meant Lance was now officially in the inner circle. Besides, taking him all the way to the Whitemont Mountains meant Charlie was ready to put his power on full display. There was no longer any point in hiding who he was. Lance was stunned. He knew exactly who Isaac was, so when he heard Charlie being called his boss, the pieces clicked into place with terrifying clarity. He was in total disbelief. He'd never imagined that Mr. Wade, this master with almost godlike abilities, was also the heir to the Wade family, the most powerful family in all of Eastcliff. His incredible power was already awe-inspiring, but to think his family background was even more staggering. No wonder they call him a true titan, he thought. With that kind of personal strength and that kind of family backing him, he'd more than earned the title. As the reality of it all crashed down on him, he dropped to one knee. "Mr. Wade," he said, his voice thick with respect, "you are the heir of the great Wade family, and yet you were willing to fight for me, for my late mother, to help me win back what was ours. I will be forever in your debt." Charlie answered calmly, "Lance, if you are truly grateful and want to follow me, then I can promise you a brilliant future." He then glanced over at Orville and smiled. "Orville, the same goes for you." Orville immediately dropped to his knees as well. "Mr. Wade," he said with fierce loyalty, "from the moment you saved me from that bodyguard of Wells's, my life has been yours." The Wade family's business jet cut through the darkness, racing toward the Whitemont Mountains at an insane speed. This thing was worlds faster than a regular jet. Even Charlie had to admit it was impressive. "It figures," he thought. "This is why the Wades are one of the top families in the country. You could see it in the details, even in a single plane. They had a fleet like this one stationed in major cities across the U.S., ready to deploy at a moment's notice. In a crisis, that meant being one step ahead of everyone else. Seizing an opportunity first wasn't just a shot at winning. It was everything." Isaac leaned over. "You know, the family has an even faster plane, but there's only one. Master Wade keeps it parked at JFK." Charlie's eyebrows lifted. "A faster plane?" "Yep," Isaac nodded. "Ever heard of the Skyblade?" Years ago, the French built a supersonic passenger jet that could hit twice the speed of sound. We're talking a cruising speed of over 2,100 miles an hour. "I've heard of the Skyblade," Charlie said, a note of surprise in his voice. "But didn't they retire all of those?" "Retired from public service, sure," Isaac said. "The problem was, the plane flew too fast, the fuel costs were astronomical, and the sonic boom was deafening. No regular airline could afford it. But after they were decommissioned, 4 of the best conditioned ones were snapped up by the world's most powerful families. And ever since, they've gotten the best maintenance money can buy." A wave of astonishment washed over Charlie. He never imagined his grandfather had the kind of influence to acquire a Skyblade. It was a testament to the sheer audacity of that older generation of entrepreneurs. The strategic advantage was mind-boggling. A normal business jet maxed out around 800 or 900 miles per hour. The Skyblade was 2.5 times faster. If a billion-dollar deal was on the table in Europe, a race to get there first, the Wade family would be the only ones to close it. While everyone else's flight took 11 or 12 hours, this plane could do it in 5. In other words, he'd have the contract signed before his competitor's wheels even touched the tarmac. 2 hours later, their plane touched down at Whitemont Airport. Just as planned, a helicopter was already waiting on the tarmac beside the runway. As Charlie stepped off the plane, he turned to Isaac. "Can you check with the tower and see if the Wells's private plane has landed yet?" Isaac was on his phone in a second. A moment later, he hung up, looking at Charlie with open admiration. "You called it, Mr. Wade. The airport tower just got a flight plan filed for a private jet from their family. It's scheduled to land here in an hour." Charlie nodded, a satisfied look on his face. "An hour's head start is more than enough. Let's head for the base of the mountains and check out the view." He climbed into the waiting helicopter, followed by Isaac, Orville, and Lance. The helicopter lifted off immediately, banking toward the Whitemont Mountains. It was just after 4 in the morning. Winter clung to the sky, still dark with no hint of dawn, but a brilliant full moon hung overhead, bathing the landscape in a stark silver light. As they left the airport and the city lights behind, the Whitemont Mountains rose before them, a majestic, jagged silhouette against the glowing sky. The entire range was blanketed in snow, making the view absolutely breathtaking. 40 minutes later, their helicopter touched down in a clearing about half a mile from the village.